Hey!
Welcome back to Hotpocalypse.
Yes. Technical difficulties a little bit, but I think we're back. Hopefully you can hear us now.
I believe we're back in Audible. I'm Andy.
I'm Josh.
And together, we're Hotpocalypse. I'm a comic who's chronically depressed and thinks we're doomed.
And I'm a climate scientist who's crunched the numbers and knows we're doomed.
His data backs up my neuroses. That's why we're a pair. Hotpocalypse, everybody.
Hey.
And today we're going to be talking about some very exciting stuff, some news that was made by Josh's research team this week. He's going to discuss with us some of the climate implications of his discoveries.
Yeah, my NASA mission Oceans Melting Greenland, or OMG for short.
OMG!
OMG. We put out a paper that says that showed that Greenland's largest glacier, Jakobshavn, is actually growing for the first time in 20 years.
Farfignugan is growing?
Yes,
Wow.
all across the land.
Yakov Smirnov is making its way. No, what's it called?
It's called Jakobshavn. Jakobshavn.
That's made up.
That's totally real.
Okay, all right, fine. So Jakobshavn is getting bigger.
That's right. That's right.
Expectations.
Yeah. So it's Greenland's fastest, largest moving glacier, which you can see right here. It's kind of a zoom in, and it actually sits right in the water. It sits in about 800 meters of water.
What's that water called, Josh?
It's called the ocean.
Oh, it's the ocean.
Yeah,
okay,
it's the ocean. And the ocean's actually cooled down also for the first time in about 20 years, just offshore of Jakobshavn.
Wait, this is great news. So, okay, climate change has been solved. This is now a podcast about scotch. We're going to be testing different scotches. Delicious flavors.
Oh, yeah. Can we get the one that tastes like Band-Aids?
Yeah.
I like that one. It's so good.
They all do a little bit. Am I right? We're all good?
Actually, it's kind of bad news. Turns out that what we found is that the glacier is really, really sensitive to the ocean water, the ocean temperature. And the cooling happened as part of a natural cycle. So as the North Atlantic cools down and warms up, it does this about once every 20 years. And this colder, warm water makes its way up the west coast of Greenland through a whole bunch of currents, and eventually comes in contact with the glacier.
I love it. So let me just explain to the audience at home how this works. Josh is the smart one who says the smart things. I'm the dumb one who plays the role of the audience member. So I'm the dumbest audience member here, so I'm going to ask Josh some questions. But if you have questions at home, there are ways to get them addressed. Leave a comment or a question there, the Being Liberal website on Facebook.
Yeah.
We will find those comments and questions and address them.
Yes. Ask a real climate scientist a real climate question.
Ask a real comic something about dick jokes, and I will say one.
He is a genius
about
dick jokes. Yeah, it's amazing.
Nothing monetizable, but Josh has a lot of knowledge that he'll share with you. No, Josh. So let me, as the dumb one in this equation, let me just spit this back to you and see if I got it right.
Okay.
So it's not good news because it's simply reflecting the cyclical dynamic of the ocean itself. Your research shows that it's more vulnerable to that dynamic than previously thought, making these glaciers themselves more vulnerable than they would be otherwise. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right.
Fucking nailed it. Screw you, science teachers. I was right all along.
Oh, wow. They're out there just rolling over in their graves somewhere.
So sad.
Maybe they're still alive. You don't know.
I killed them.
Ooh, wow. But the big thing is that in the long run, the oceans are absorbing over 90% of the heat from global warming. So we know they're going to warm up in the long run, and when this cycle reverses, the oceans will be a little bit warmer, the water will be a little bit warmer, and probably the glacier will retreat a little bit faster too. So
this complicated, nuanced result that your team discovered, that you and your team discovered, this was surely reflected with all that nuance and all that depth of intention in the right-wing media and Twitter trolls. Is that right?
Yeah, it's funny. There were 3 really, really good articles written. The Associated Press, Mashable,
good ones.
National Geographic wrote a really great article about it. And
others not so much.
Others, they didn't quite get it. Yeah.
Pornhub.
Yeah.
Let us down again.
I know, right?
Is that what you're saying?
Where were their minds?
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
Too much step-parent stuff. What is that? Who cares about?
I don't even know what that is.
It's gross. It's gross.
I'm gonna look it up just in a minute.
No, but so other sites got it wrong. I realized there's a headline from Fox News that seemed a bit deceptive.
Yes, yes. It said something along the lines of actually this fastest thinning glacier in Greenland threw NASA scientists for a loop. It's actually growing.
Which is one of those headlines you read and you think, oh,
Right.
well, climate change is solved. I got to find a podcast about sky.
We're done here.
We're done.
Yeah, that's right. But no, actually, the rest of the article was actually pretty good. It went on to explain that the growth was part of a natural cycle, and that even noted that it's bad news in kind of the long term because of the warming ocean. So the rest of the article was actually.
You just like that they quoted you. You deep
do.
staters are all the same. Josh works for NASA, by the way. That's how he gets all this information.
Yes, and I'm not speaking for NASA on this podcast, just so we're clear. This podcast is so far not my day job. But,
Sure.
You know, hey.
I, on the other hand, am going to speak for the U.S. Marines.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
We're a very tough bunch of
they
folks.
don't speak up that much. Andy.
No,
They-
very
I think
quiet,
they need
retiring
to.
bunch. They
Right.
need a spokesman who has never served, and I am to be him. Okay, so Josh, maybe we can go through some of these comments and just see, first of all, if anyone's got any comments that they're going to bust us out.
Oh, I think we have a comment.
Oh, producer Mike.
Producer Mike.
By the way, Mike is too good looking just to be behind the camera all the time.
He should really come around here. Some of these.
Here's a comment.
Colder means it's global warming. More like means it's melting. These guys learned from Dr. Seuss.
Wow, a zinger.
Yeah.
I think he's implying that Seuss had a PhD of some sort.
That's right.
Probably
You know,
not factual.
I love Dr. Seuss.
Me too.
Really, you know, like the Lorax. That's one of my favorites.
Speaks for the GD trees. Hell yeah, man.
That's right. That's right.
Shout out to Lorax.
Yeah. We love you, Dr. Seuss. Wherever you are.
But I think that this fellow is, or I'm assuming it's a fellow. I'm assuming it's a white, straight fellow sitting in his underpants.
Could be. You never know.
But he is mistaking some of this nuance for contradiction.
Yeah, right. So, in fact, actually, this cooling wasn't caused by global warming, but it's happening anyway. You know, sort of like winter. Winter comes around every year.
It's cyclical.
Yeah, it's cyclical. It's a natural cycle. It's one we understand and predict. And but in the long run, the warming trend is happening on top of that. So the cycles are actually useful for us because they help us sort of calibrate the changes. So by watching this cycle play out, we see how the ocean's changing, and we look at how the glaciers respond, and that helps us kind of calibrate the long-term trend. So we're thankful for these cycles.
Thank you, Cycles.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm thankful for the fact that Josh has some tells where you can tell what's really going on in his mind. The more Josh gesticulates, the more frustrated he is with our idiocy. so just keep that in mind as we go.
Not true. I'm perfect. Oh, sorry.
See,
Yeah,
he lapses a minute. But so I think that is a problem that we have. And first of all, we want to thank our trolls, especially on this Being Liberal site. Thank you, Being Liberal, for having us, and thank you, trolls, for keeping our algorithm so active.
I know, it's so much fun. We love you too. Actually, you know, if you want, I can read one from the Twitter.
Oh yes, one of your Twitter trolls.
Yeah, you know, this speaks to what we were just talking about. Huff71 said, and the ocean temperature, I like to read it like I'm an announcer, and the ocean temperature near the glacier hasn't been so cold since the 1980s, and they don't know why.
In a world that's warmer.
Exactly.
They meaning
don't know.
you.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
he got you, right?
We do.
Singer.
Well, I think we just went over that. We do know why. It's a cycle. I posted the link to the little video we were watching earlier. You can go see it. You can go see for yourself.
Oh, here's another question we got for one of them smart guys. What are y'all's thoughts on the effect of olivine, I assume I'm pronouncing that correct, removing carbon dioxide and that being a solution to climate change?
Oh.
So geoengineering, I'm not familiar with this particular...
Yeah. Wasn't that Popeye's girlfriend?
Olivine, yes.
Yeah, right?
She wore my
Yes.
climate back in the day.
Yeah, she could put on a little carbon and, you know, look really nice still. I think, but, well, so yeah, taking carbon out of the air is definitely something that we need to try, right? But it's not an excuse to stop putting it in the air. You know, at this rate, we're going to need to stop emitting fossil fuels and try to take it out of the air and try and block against rising seas and warming temperatures and all that stuff. We kind of have to do it all now.
We have to do it all, and it's sort of like the situation is a little like a young me, folks. When I was 25, I remember being approached about my nearly pack-a-day cigarette habit and being told that was a bad idea. And I said, "Oh no! By the time I'm old enough for it to be a problem, we will have solved the problem of cancer." Ladies and gentlemen, I'm old enough to have cancer now, and we haven't solved jack. So these are the sort of problems that we lock ourselves into if we don't address the root of the problem.
Josh, Andy, I'm going to tell you right now,
yeah,
you should really quit smoking.
Never. Yeah. Never, ever. But the geoengineering thing is just not, it's a best case scenario when we are up against a string of worst case scenarios.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, it's not even that. It's a Band-Aid on an amputee. Sorry,
yeah.
That sounded terrible. I didn't mean
no. It sounded sexy.
Yeah,
is that weird?
No, it's a small thing we should try to do because there's already too much carbon in the air, probably. So we already need to take some out. But it doesn't replace trying to find alternative fuels. So you can't just solve the problem with pulling carbon out of the air. It's too much carbon. And in fact, actually, it's 150 years worth of carbon that's in the atmosphere now. And not just in the atmosphere, in the ocean. So as you pull it out of the atmosphere, part of what the ocean absorbed in the last 100 years is going to come back out again and still haunt us.
This is why we call it hotpocalypse, and we say we're all doomed.
Yeah, yes.
A lot of problems here, folks. Here's another one from the audience. Too gay for me.
Oh,
you haven't seen anything yet. I'm assuming this is a homophobic person using this as a pejorative rather than us being literally having too much homosexual themed content.
Right. Honestly, I think it's not gay enough for me.
Not at all. Not
I
at all.
would prefer it to be a little more.
We are going to come back in some ashless chaps. Doing great, guys. Please explain the concept of correlation.
Oh. Correlation. It got cut off. Correlation is not causation.
Correlation is not causation.
So, what a good point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So here's my favorite story about correlation and causation.
Scientists talk like that. Here's my favorite story.
Here's my favorite story.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's right. So it turns out that the number of drowning deaths and the consumption of ice cream are correlated.
We got to stop eating so much ice cream, guys. This is an emergency.
Hold on.
I'm going down for the third time.
Wait. They both go up in the summer.
Wait a second. I'm on to you. So you're saying the correlation of that data doesn't mean that they're caused by the same thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. So oftentimes, we look at two things and we go, oh, these things are changing together at the same time, but it doesn't mean one's causing the other. Often it means something else is causing both of them.
So is an example of this when a U.S. senator goes or a U.S. representative goes on the floor of Congress with a snowball saying, look, I found this outside, therefore climate change isn't happening. He's associating an effect with something that didn't cause it.
Well, he's just kind of being a jerk, really.
Just being a dick. Totally different phenomenon.
Right.
Totally different.
That's what I would say about that.
Recent Midwest floods were climate-related, question mark.
Oh, yeah. That's an excellent question. Well, so these floods were probably worse because of climate change, and they were probably more likely to happen because of climate change. As the planet warms up, the Arctic warms up faster than the rest of the planet, and that causes the wacky weather that we saw. That has a tendency to cause more wacky weather like what we saw over this winter, where the polar vortex, that's the circle of winds that normally goes around the North Pole and keeps Santa in his pen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And when it breaks down, then it bashes into the jet stream like a drunken sailor and knocks it this way and that way, and eventually causes like really cold blasts to come out of the Arctic and really warm air to go up north and like melt Greenland. And so it's kind of like weather chaos in those examples.
It's that disruption of cycles that we've grown accustomed to as a civilization.
That's right, that's right. Now that's not to say that it caused it. I mean, we had those kinds of crazy winters in years past, in decades past, in centuries past. But the question is, are they happening more frequently now? And the answer is probably.
Probably. I think that we're getting the signal that
Yeah.
we are running out of time here on Hot
Producer
Apocalypse.
Mike says that we got to wrap it up.
First of all, producer Mike, you're too good looking
Yeah.
to be behind camera.
Right.
He's a stunning male. Maybe that's the too gay thing that we're doing.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
I'm going to accept
I don't
that.
care though. I'm happy to say
If
it.
this love is wrong, I don't want to be right. Folks, this has been another episode of Hot Apocalypse. Thank you for being with us.
Yes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Josh.
And together, we are going to come to you on the regular, continuing to inform you. We've got special guests coming up who will entertain and delight you. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube,
Instagram.
Is
that a thing?
Yeah,
Maybe, I think
probably,
we have
I think we have
Instagram
all these
account.
social media. So
right.
follow us. You'll learn more and hopefully laugh a little bit. And we really enjoy being with you.
Hotpocalypse.com.
He's a comic who's chronically depressed and thinks we're doomed. He's a renowned climate scientist who crunched the numbers and knows we're doomed. Together, they're hoping to have a good time till it's over and tell you, we're all gonna die! We're all gonna die! We're all gonna die!
Hotpocalypse.